What in general is your view on meritocracy?
So I love meritocracy. I wish that we lived in a meritocracy, and I want to drive towards living in a meritocracy. So that's why I don't like equality of results. So, okay, now people that are on the left will get super mad at that and go, what do you mean? Well, okay, brother, let's say you're at work and you got one guy who's working his ass off, and the other guy that's going, I don't care, I'm not going to do it, right? Well, the guy who works super hard has to pick up the slack. Now he's working twice as hard, right? And now you want the same results? You want the same salary as that guy? No, brother, no. He's working twice, 4 times, 10 times harder than you. That's not fair. Fairness matters. We wound up, we're in the suburbs of Jersey, but we wound up in Freehold eventually. And we lived across a farm, which is kind of, in central Jersey, it happens, right? And it was called Fair Chance Farm. Okay, I was like, how did I get this? Is amazing, right? Yeah. And I love that. That's the essence of America, and that's what I want to go back to. So we've got to create that opportunity, not just because it's the moral thing to do, but because it's also the economically smart thing to do. If you enable all those great people that are in lower income classes and middle income classes, you're going to get a much better economy, a much stronger democracy. So that's the direction we got.
So again, it's about balance, but what do you think about DEI policies, say in academia and companies, so the movement as it has evolved? Where's that on the balance? Is that, how far is it pushing towards equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity?
Okay, so now we're getting into social issues, right? So this is where we all rip each other apart, and then the people at the top laugh their ass off at us and go, we got them fighting over trans issues. They're killing each other. It's hilarious, and they're so busy they don't realize we're running the place, right? Okay, but let's engage. Some people will look at DEI and go, well, that just gives me an opportunity, just like anyone else. I love DEI. Another person will look at it and go, no, that says that you should be picked above me, and I hate DEI, right? So the reality of DEI is a little bit more complicated. And so, but you got to go back. So first, did we need affirmative action in the 1960s? Definitely. Why? All the firefighter jobs in South Carolina, as an example, are going to white guys. All the longshoreman jobs in New York, LA, wherever you have it, are all going to white guys because that's how the system was. Yes, also in the North, right? So we now are in a civil rights era. We decide we're going to go towards equality. Minorities, in that case, mainly Black Americans, had to find a way to break in. I'm not trying to, like, if you're a longshoreman and it's a good job, you naturally want to pass it on to your son. I get your instinct. I don't hate you for it, right? But we got to let Black kids also have a shot at it, right? So you need it in the beginning. But at a certain point, you have to phase it out. So when I was growing up, it's now in the late 80s, early 90s, I hated affirmative action. And I've been principled on it from day one. And to this day, I'm not in favor of affirmative action. I say it on the show all the time. Why? I'm a minority. Being a Turk, I grew up Muslim. I'm an atheist now, but generally speaking, a Muslim is certainly a minority in America, and pretty much a hated one overall. But I didn't check off Muslim or Turkish or any ethnicity when I applied to college because I believe in a meritocracy, as we were talking about. But we don't really have a meritocracy now. And so I can come back to that. But right now, so I didn't check it off because I didn't want an unfair advantage, because I want to earn it. So now I'm in law school and I'm hanging out with right-wingers because at that point I'm a Republican. And one of the guys says to me about one of our, a Black student going to Columbia, he says, oh, I wonder how he got in here. God, that is the problem with affirmative action. It devalues the accomplishments of every minority in the country. You have to transition away from it. If you don't, it sets up a caste system, and that caste system is lethal to democracy. So does DEI go too far in some instances? Yes. But is it a boogeyman that's going to take all the white jobs and make them black, as Trump would say, black jobs, right? And give minorities too much power, etc.? No, the idea isn't to rob you and to give all the opportunity to minorities. The idea is to make it equal. But as the pendulum swings, did it swing too far in some directions? Yes. So the left can't acknowledge that, and the right thinks can't acknowledge that. Of course, at some point, you got to give a chance for others to break in so they have a fair chance.
By the way, Michelle Obama had a good line about the black jobs in the DNC speech.
Great line. I
where
love that.
Somebody should tell Trump that the presidency might be just one of those black jobs. Anyway, but why do you think the left doesn't acknowledge when DI gets ridiculous, which it in certain places and in certain places at a large scale has gotten ridiculous?
Because people are taught to just be in the tribe they're in and to believe it 100%. Like, I've gotten kicked out of every tribe. I might be the most attacked man in internet history, partly because we've been around forever, and partly because I disagree with every part of the political spectrum, because I believe in independent thought. And the minute you vary a little bit, people go nuts. And so the far left tribe is going to go with their preset ideology, just like the far right tribe is. So, for example, on trans issues, we've protected trans people for over 20 years on the Young Turks. We fought for equality for trans people and for all LGBTQ people for 2 decades. We did it way before anyone else did. When Biden came out in favor of gay marriage in 2013, we're like, this is comically late. So, like, we're all supposed to, like, congratulate him in the year 2013 that he thinks gay people should have the same rights as straight people. And then he had to push Obama to get there, right? So, on the other hand, I'm like, guys, if you allow trans women to go into professional sports, not at the high school level, but professional sports, but let's say they go into MMA or boxing, and a trans woman, I mean, it happens in boxing, it happens in MMA, punches a biological woman so hard that she kills her, right? So you're going to set back trans rights 50 years. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you. You have to do bounds of reason. So when I say simple things like that, and I say you give LeBron James every hormone blocker on planet Earth, he's still going to dominate the WNBA. Okay. It would be comical. He might score 100 points a night. Okay. And they'll say, oh, that's outrageous. And some have called me Nazi for saying that trans women or that professional leagues should make their own decisions on whether they allow trans women in or not. So why do they say that? Because they're so besieged. They think we cannot give an inch. We cannot give any ground. If you give any ground, you're a Nazi. Okay. So we've got to get out of that mindset. You can't function in a democracy and be in an extreme position and expect the rest of the country to go towards your extreme position.
So why do you think we are not in a meritocracy?
So because of the corruption, for example, but remember, corporate media is the matrix, and they plug you into cable, right? In the old days. Now it's a little bit different because of online media, but especially 10 years ago, and remember, we started 22 years ago, so I've been losing my mind over how obvious corporate media corruption has been for decades now, right? But no one acknowledged it until online media got stronger. But one of the myths that corporate media creates is the myth of meritocracy. Not that meritocracy can't exist or shouldn't exist, but they pretend it exists today. So the problem with that myth, Lex, is that it gets people thinking, well, if they're already rich, they must have merited it by definition. So all the rich have merit. And the reverse of that, if you're poor or middle class, well, you must not have merited wealth. So you're no good. We don't have to listen to you. And that's a really dangerous, awful idea. And so if we get to a meritocracy one day, I'll be the happiest person in America. But right now, look, here I'll give you an example that I put in the book. And it's not us, this other folks did this YouTube video. I can't even quite find who they were, but it was a brilliant video. And they said, okay, we're going to do a 100-yard race. But hold on, before we start, anyone who has 2 parents, take 2 steps forward. Anyone who went to college, take another 2 steps forward. Anyone who doesn't have bills to pay for education anymore, take 2 steps forward. And they do all these things, right? And then at the end, before they start, somebody's 20 yards from the finish line, and a lot of people are still at the starting line. And then they go, okay, now we're going to run a race. And the guy who's right next to the finish line wins. And they go, meritocracy. Okay.
So the challenge there is to know which disparities, when you just freeze the system and observe, are actually a result of some kind of discrimination or flaw in the system, versus the result of meritocracy, of the better runner being ahead.
That's right. There are some parts that are easy to solve, Lex. So, if you donated to a politician and he gave you $1 billion subsidy, that's not meritocracy.
Right. So if you follow the money, you can see the flaws in the system.
Exactly. And again, nothing's ever perfect at any snapshot of history, right? Or of the moment. You're going to be at some point in the pendulum swing. But if you trust the people and you let the pendulum swing, but not wildly, then you're going to get to the right answers in the long run.